Hey guys, and welcome back to another Super Metal Brothers review video. I am Super Metal Brother Matt.
And I'm Super Metal Brother Dane.
We are talking Nile with Nilotic Rites, I'm guessing it's called. For those of you guys who don't know, Nile are a death metal band. In fact, I would say these days I'm far more into the tech death category right now. Danny, especially with some previous works that have happened. Right now that we're here to talk about the latest inception of it, this is their 9th studio album as well. They're on Nuclear Blast, and Nuclear Blast don't sign any dummies, that's for sure, Danny. Drop A tuning normally. These guys are very, very heavy, notorious for the technicality, Danny, and this album here, I guess, is for some more of the same, but for others, it might be considered better. What do you think, Danny? Where are you laying with this ancient Egyptian, Middle Eastern sounding metal band?
Yeah, no, they definitely keep those tones going with this album, so don't get disappointed if that's why you love them so much, just because of their niche and their... Was it Phrygian dominant?
Yeah. So you use those Middle Eastern. Not only is it the mysticism or the mythology based around Egyptian or Middle Eastern mythology, but it's also around scales and ideas that definitely permeate in those Eastern cultures, like you said, the Spanish Gypsy or the Phrygian dominant scale, which is the obviously 5th degree harmonic minor. For those who don't know, and for those who don't know what harmonic minor is, maybe we'll make another video about some theory. But we'll move on. It's a certain sound that these guys elicit that's very unique to them. And now, I guess it would say unique in death metal in general, but I imagine that a lot of people have taken these sounds on board and made it their own as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Behemoth is one that comes to mind using these scales as well, especially with the albums Demigod and so forth through that phase. But let's talk about this band here, Danny. Let's talk about the album. What did you think about it?
Yes, this album, you don't want to be conducting brain surgery and having this album in the background, unless you're just very good at it. But this album is very heavy, technical, great compositions. They chuck in a lot of orchestral. They love those bell hits. Ding.
Oh, at the start of the album.
And even throughout for like their transitioning periods.
Absolutely.
They're great. And they got some even like chain, like whoosh, like effects chucked in there, which is all great. I think the thing they do well is with track one. It's a lot of these bands which are technical and a little bit of orchestration. So the first song can be like a good minute and a half, 2 minute like introductory, like getting into it. These guys here, their first song is probably about 20 seconds of that to show like, yeah, we have it in the album, but that's not what we're going to focus on. It's just going to be used for a tool. And that, I think, was good by having track one as Long Shadows of Dread being track one instead of track 4, which is called Seven Horns of War, because that's the one which has the really long orchestral open. So I'm glad that's where they went with in the end, to make it like hit. And that song hits heavy straight away, like track one, and that kind of represents the tone of the album.
Absolutely, and from there, actually, you do, like you said, you got the tone of the album set, but there are certain impressive diversions from it, or at least to give you enough time to absorb some of those heavy riffs with some other things that aren't as heavy as well. You've got the choir, for instance, in Revel and the Suffering, which is quite lovely. The intro is something to behold, with there's a lot of changes as well going into the actual track. There's also, I think, a few other things like the That Which Is Forbidden, which is my favorite track. Sonically, it's just a massive charge, using some very interesting leads, and it feels like what could be fit into like the Mummy movie, but more satanic, I guess. You know what I mean? Just incredible gallops in that as well.
R-rated Mummy movie.
You've got even incredibly I guess ambitious tracks for the band, like Seven Horns of War, which is almost 9 minutes.
Yeah.
And for a tech death metal band, that's incredibly audacious.
And with only one solo as well.
Yeah, exactly right. But that's the whole point. There's enough in there to get it away from it as well. You got some, you're getting some choir and keys, symphonic elements through the middle of that track as well. But let's not divert from it. This is a very technical and brutal album, and pretty much everywhere else you are overwhelmed, if you would like to use that word, with an onslaught of noise, whether it being those percussive hits from the drums, who is one of the best probably drummers going around in heavy metal right now, but also, like you said, those amazing use of different lines, and even the song structures and the way that songs are made up as well is so unconventional. There's no way that you're repeating a pop metal formula or whatever. It's every song seems to be taking you on a journey almost, through a whole dance of arrangement of an onslaught, really.
Yeah, especially those longer songs, like you said, the that Seven Horns one, and even the track 8 song near the end, though. Track 10, is it? Or 7? Yeah. 11. One of those two. They also, you're right in that they're very good at building it up. then putting the heavy elements in there to like help change up, help give it more tone. They love to like create the tension with like these guitar bends and staccato hits, and then like release the tension again.
Like the tribal drumming sound as well, with Where is the Wrathful Sky, and that's all. It's all there to build it up there and make it really work. However, it really should be noted how impressive it is to have such an amazing array of technicality, but also not just a bunch of. And that's the fine line. You know, a lot of people would say where the wank stops and where the magic begins, you know what I mean? And that's for everyone's different. But for me, these guys here have mastered having a technicality, but also having a certain ambience and an atmosphere, which can really get you involved into the seating. And I really felt it. That's the thing with music. With this album, I really felt how hard these guys have worked for a record. And every single facet, you know, I feel like you can go away from this album, come back, again, and find a whole new things and keep doing that over and over, because there's all these little nuggets of gold, you know, scattered within this album.
Yeah, definitely right. And even where track 8 comes in, which is "Thus saith the parasites of the mind," well, that's kind of their small like instrumental section. That was done well, because before then it was pretty much heavy and hard hitting,
Very heavy.
A little bit of like slow down and a little bit of those Middle Eastern sounds.
Yeah.
That track was like the transition for the album itself, to go from that really, really heavy to now, okay, starting focusing more on that whole Middle Eastern tones, but then also still having some heavy elements chucked in. So they did well to even make the album have a flowing nature to it.
Exactly. Even the ending to Vile Vitriolic Rites, you have the super satanic growls and beckoning wails over each other as well, which is cool. Fully immersive. Very cool, wasn't it? Such a great effect as well. So not only is the guitar sounding phenomenal with technicality, the drums being some of the best you're going to hear, just sounding like there's 3 people on that kit, you know what I mean? You also get an amazing arrangement of vocals as well, which in death metal can sometimes be a little dry, you know. There is that safe haven of doing those growls throughout everything, just lacing on the top. And sure, it sounds evil, but where do you go, you know? That's kind of that beautiful thing, you know. And when I say bands like Behemoth now in the early phase, that's what they were doing, you know, those black and death metal bands. They were doing that screechy growl, and you can hear that across the whole thing. But these guys, you know, they balance it as well, which is a testament to their dedication of songwriting, Danny. Yeah,
so it's just not like balls to the walls type thing. Like they used the double kick of the drum well to like change up between sections, even though the guitarist is quite similar. The drums then change the tone, or vice versa. The guitars are different over top of the drums, or the guitars are very methodic over the fast drums to give that dichotomy. So I try to keep you engaged. It's just like, here's a blast beat for like the next 10 hours and enjoy. Here's tremolo picking for 10 hours and enjoy.
Yeah.
So that gets redundant. So
I think I was just mostly overwhelmed with just the positive feelings of like super awesome sections or certain riffs or playing, and the production here is phenomenal. You know, Nile are so much better off with this kind of level of polish to their albums, you know. Back in the day, a lot of people would say that raw and a certain, you know, ambient style of their, you know, rough sounding. And to that, I'd have to disagree 100%. You know, all the lines of the guitars get lost. The drumming, you cannot appreciate how much work and dedication is going into his thing. It needed the balance, and we got that on the previous albums to this one. But right here is where I think they've mastered it, and they're getting to that point where I hate to think it's like the Meshuggah complex, where Meshuggah were working on creating a sound, and I think they mastered it on that Kolos album, and then they went over, and then they did another couple of albums after that, and they all sounded like, well, it sounded the same thing. But this band here, I feel like they're mastering that style of technical death metal, you know, casting something that's obviously orally impressive, but also, you know, something that you can get really immersed in as well.
Yeah.
As you can see, I'm just gushing over this album. I think it's phenomenal, and it's a band that really has very few equals. The only other band I can think of, Danny, is Archsphere, that we've reviewed on this channel, and I think the Lucid Collective album is the most important one I'm going to regard here, because we obviously talked about 2 albums from the band's Archspire, and both of those were phenomenal. But I particularly were impressed with how a band would create a story to unconventional songwriting, you know, and technical abilities put to it. I think these guys here, though, have a certain feel about their playing that's a little less mechanical. And I don't mean that in a bad sense. I feel like Archsphere's level of playing is super tight, and these guys are super great players. But here on this, I just feel like these guys are in the middle of a sandy storm, shredding there before they, like, you know, unless the Satan will kill them if they don't play those notes right. That's how I feel with this album.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I think the first song we actually did a react video to it, and we made a comment about. I felt like there was sound in my underwear. That's how immersive.
That was nuts.
The song was. So now I think these guys, because they have the orchestration, they use like they call classic sounds like rusty doors opening and
Yeah,
chains, all
it's
that
great.
wind noises, thunder, all chucked in there.
Absolutely.
Creates the tone, and then with the choirs thrown in, and even that deep melodic singing or kind of talking, chanting type thing has also been chucked in there to give you that whole like religious, I don't know, worshipping type sound to it as well.
Yeah.
To go with the whole like attacking of the music to say like that you're being indoctrinated or here's a war coming.
Absolutely.
Get prepared type thing.
Absolutely. And that's the thing about immersion is that it's putting you into a world. And I feel like a lot of art gets miscategorized or not misreviewed, I guess you could call it in another sense, where it's like, oh, if I like it, it's great, and if I don't like it, well, then, you know, and we don't explore it enough. But here is like they have done everything to put you into a place where it actually sounds like it's basically hell, but in a sense that's it's their style and it's their interpretation of what that would feel like or what that would sound like, and I think these guys have nailed it. It's just such a hellish landscape, and from the front, when you just look at the front cover, you're starting to be transported into the world, and then when you hear from the first track onwards, it's just a fully involved experience until the very end. Although, you know, there are some caveats to what I'm saying. This album isn't for everyone. This style isn't for everyone because it is extreme metal.
It's pretty draining.
It is very draining, you know.
Wow.
I have to put it on a high pedestal, but I also have to understand that this market here, a lot of people would fail to even recognize the level of dedication these guys go into their songwriting because they're just like, wow, it sounds like a bunch of noise. And I mean, like, if you don't have a training yourself to hear this kind of stuff, plus the brutality as well, it can be, and the unconventional songwriting and song structures, it all comes together. But these guys have, for me, cemented in my heart that this is their best album to date. It's by far the best Nile have sounded, and probably one of the best technical death metal bands going on right now as well. So that's how I would say about Nile. This album is absolutely phenomenal. I cannot gush about it enough, and we've done this for 4 or 5 years now, and not many technical metal bands have come close to this level of dedication and personality, almost, I guess.
Yeah, because I'll still make it enjoyable for the
and that's what it's all about. Exactly right. Final thoughts before we give it a review, Danny?
Everything I say was quite great, as we've mentioned. The only thing I thought was probably not needed was, I think, track 11 and 10, I think they kind of doubled up a bit.
Yep.
I'm not sure if they needed both of those tracks there. And again, if you know, like, very fast technical playing, it's going to be hard for you to enjoy this.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, the solos were quite long, surprisingly. Like, he actually had some like good minute-long solos, kind of like, wow, that's a lot of notes. Imagine if they transcribed this, like how thick the book would be. It'd be like a Bible.
This thing would be ridiculous. You know, and that'd be your first song, you know. It's just the amount of just different taglines and sections moving out of place you'll never hear again. Like, that was awesome. Don't worry, you'll never hear that ever again. So much press rewind. You know, don't worry, you won't
true. Sometimes they could repeat a riff.
No, nice. I won't say that. No, I'm not going to say that, because I think that these guys have done themselves a justice by not catering to being safe and
just making,
because every next part is like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. You know, that's just the way they do it. Maybe if I had to be super critical, the Imperishable Stars Are Sickening had some weird singing at the end, which kind of sounded like Golda from Saviors of Doom, or like Isham from Late Emperor. It's for that operatic sound, but it could have maybe worked a little bit longer getting that worked out. But I will admire at least it was a swerve ball. I just felt like that, like those other guys have done it a little bit better. But the last track did feel like the previous album as well. It's a very muck, disgusting, through the marsh, grove, doomy kind of song, you know, and it does feel like an album. It's just beating you at the very, very end, and there is an awesome drum feel at the end, which is phenomenal as well to send us off.
That's true. They kind of ended like, hey, don't forget this, bang, and then they just ended nicely with a bit of hauntingness.
All right, then. What do you give it out of 10?
8 out of 10.
I don't know whether to give it a 9 or a 9.5.
Whoa, damn. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So this is the thing. For me, it's an ultimate album, and these guys have just completely just set the bar so damn high that I don't even think these guys are possible to overtake it, but I'm hoping to see if they will. They've just gone from strength to strength. When the band first started, you know, it really did feel like they were starting a sound, they were mucking around with it. But because of the production levels and the maturity levels, you could tell that they were working hard at something, but they were quite not there. But here's where all their hard work and efforts have paid off into something. This album's not just like 1 year or 2 years in the making. This is something that has been working on from this band since the inception of the band Nile. And they have crafted a sound now with the help of awesome producers and maybe sound technicians or whatever, or maybe even they've worked alongside guitar companies as well, because I know these guys have custom guitars as well. So, and that's everything to help make this sound even more satanic and evil. And God bless them. Yeah, every single one of them, they're willing to, put their heart and souls into our Lord and Savior of darkness. Yeah, I think I'll give it a 9.5. Fuck it. Yeah.
Oh, so
this album is just absolutely great, and I think it might even overtake Flesh God's album.
Yeah, they're in trouble, Flesh God.
I don't know why. It's just, for me, there's just another level on this album that I just can't put my faith on. And for that, bravo, team. I can't. If anyone, I've seen other people say other stuff like, no, it goes, oh no, for that, I'm like, dude, it's just nostalgia. Clean your goggles, mate, because it's always feels good when you're looking at it through those loved heart-shaped goggles, but this is far more involved and superior to anything I've ever heard from the guys, and that's sounds true.
Case not their pyramid-shaped glasses.
All right, Danny, and that's what I think about the band. So,
well,
there you go.
And in the words of Nile, if I can get my thing over here, which just delay for a second while I've tried to do this thing, and in the words of Nile, the world is becoming a despairing desert. The sands of time run short. The foundations of the black earth move beneath our feet.
All right, guys. Well, let us know what you guys think about Nile. Is it the best album of 2019? Maybe. I mean, we are in November, and not much, I think, is coming up that's getting me too excited about the end of the year. However, only time will tell. Much like Liverpool, they can score in the 85th minute. And we are at the 80th right now, so it might want to be quick, right?
Nice.
All right, and until then, the next review, I am Super Metal Brother Matt.
And I'm Super Metal Brother Dane.
We have been the Super Metal Brothers. Thank you guys so much for checking this video out, and we'll catch you at the next one.